Hey everyone! Have you ever tried to sound really smart or professional in English?
And then you ended up sounding like a robot,
Exactly! You feel like you need perfect grammar.
but the result is often stiff and maybe a little unfriendly.
We hear that all the time from learners. They want to sound competent when talking to a boss or a client.
But they also want to keep that warm, natural feeling. They don't want to lose their personality, you know?
It's a real balancing act.
The balance between professionalism and friendliness.
So, hi everyone, I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome back to The English Blend.
Today we are diving into that perfect sweet spot.
How to sound polished and professional, but still warm and friendly.
It's about communication, not complication.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started. Let's start with a big idea that trips up many learners.
The difference between fluency and accuracy.
This is so fundamental. People often confuse the two.
When you look at accuracy, Leo, what do you think of?
Accuracy is all about perfection. It's about getting the grammar 100% correct.
The right tense, the right articles, the perfect punctuation if you're writing.
And that's important for tests or maybe legal documents.
But in real-time conversation,
That focus on accuracy is often what makes people freeze up.
that fear of making a mistake.
Now, fluency is totally different.
Fluency is about flow.
It's the ability to keep talking without huge pauses.
It means getting your message across clearly,
It means the listener understands you.
even if you use the wrong preposition sometimes or maybe mix up the past simple and the present perfect.
The listener still gets your point across.
That phrase, get your point across, means the idea you are trying to communicate actually reaches the other person.
It's all about successful communication.
And being friendly and professional relies 90% on fluency.
If you speak slowly and constantly correct yourself, you sound hesitant.
Hesitant doesn't sound very professional, does it?
Not really.
It sounds like you are unsure of your own ideas.
Even if your grammar is perfect, the lack of flow makes the listener impatient sometimes. And it definitely kills the friendliness.
Because a friendly conversation is supposed to flow easily.
Let's talk about the grammar block specifically.
The infamous grammar block.
It happens when you're so busy checking your own internal grammar rulebook.
You know, should I use has been or was?
Is this countable or uncountable?
By the time you decide, the moment to speak has passed.
And you hit a wall.
That's a great phrase, Mia. Hit a wall.
It means you stop making progress or you suddenly face a major obstacle.
The grammar rule becomes the obstacle, the wall.
Many of our learners, especially those moving from A2 to B2, have studied grammar for years.
They know the rules intellectually.
But when they open their mouth, that rule knowledge becomes the enemy of flow.
It causes hesitation, and hesitation makes you sound less confident.
And confidence is key to sounding both professional and friendly.
Absolutely. We need to stop seeing grammar as the gatekeeper,
It's more like a helpful editor.
an editor that comes in after the initial draft, not during the brainstorming session.
Think of it this way. When you speak your native language, do you stop to conjugate verbs?
Never. It just comes out.
We want English to start coming out too.
We need to build muscle memory for language, not just mental rules.
That's why we focus so much on fixed phrases or chunks.
We will get to chunks in our practical tips section, which is a major lifesaver.
But first, let's talk about the professional but friendly tone itself.
What makes communication sound professional?
Usually, it's using slightly more formal vocabulary.
And using modals like could and would to soften requests,
Instead of, send me the report now,
which is direct, maybe too direct.
you say, would you mind sending over the report when you have a moment?
That small addition of would you mind and when you have a moment changes everything.
It signals respect for the other person's time.
That's the friendly part making the professional part effective.
If you are too formal, you sound cold.
If you are too friendly, you might sound too casual, especially in a work setting.
For example, if you ask your manager, "Hey, can I get that money today?"
That sounds a bit too much like talking to your roommate.
But if you say, I was wondering if the expense report payment could be processed this week.
That uses the polite softening phrase, I was wondering if.
And the passive construction could be processed, which sounds more objective and professional.
You are getting your point across, but with respect and distance.
This is where listening becomes essential.
You need to hear native speakers use these patterns naturally.
We call that massive listening.
That's tip number 1 for sounding natural, massive listening.
We don't mean listening once a week.
We mean listening to English every day, even when you are doing other things.
Like background noise, podcasts, YouTube, maybe even slow burn TV shows you've seen before.
You are training your ear not just for words, but for patterns of politeness.
Your brain starts subconsciously absorbing the rhythm.
How does Mia ask for a favor? How does Leo politely decline something?
You start internalizing the polite structures without having to build them grammatically piece by piece.
That means when you open your mouth, those polite structures are ready to go.
Ready to make you sound both professional and friendly instantly.
Let's move on to tip number 2, which we mentioned earlier. Use chunks, not grammar rules.
Think of a chunk as a ready-made phrase, like a building block.
Instead of creating a house brick by brick, you use pre-built walls.
For example, a common professional chunk is, I'd like to clarify a point.
If you tried to build that sentence from scratch, thinking about the contracted I would versus I had, and the infinitive to clarify,
You would hesitate. You would hit that grammar wall.
but if you know I'd like to clarify a point is one unit, you can just plug it in.
Or if you want to agree professionally but warmly, you can use the chunk, that sounds like a sensible approach.
You're not just saying good idea, you're elevating the language slightly.
But it still flows naturally because you memorize the phrase whole.
Another great professional chunk for work meetings is to loop back to your earlier suggestion.
Perfect. It shows you were listening, which is very friendly.
And to loop back is a common professional idiom, which is a great use of language.
It's important to identify these chunks in the massive listening you're doing.
Write them down. Practice them aloud until they feel comfortable.
Don't practice them as grammar points. Practice them as sounds. Practice saying, I was wondering if 10 times in a row with the right intonation.
Because intonation is a huge part of being friendly. A professional request delivered flatly can still sound like an order.
But if you lift your tone slightly on the request, it adds that warmth.
Now, let's go into tip number 3, which is crucial for fluency and overcoming that fear of mistakes. This is something we call the 3-second rule. We love this rule because it forces communication.
When someone asks you a question, you have 3 seconds to start speaking.
If you pause for longer than 3 seconds, you are probably starting to hit that grammar wall.
You are overanalyzing the sentence structure.
The goal is to start talking, even if you know the first word or phrase is imperfect.
You have to prioritize flow over perfection.
Remember, fluency is the goal.
Let's say your colleague asks you about a project deadline.
You know you need to use the past tense, but you can't remember the irregular verb form instantly.
Instead of pausing for 10 seconds trying to find the perfect verb,
Just start talking. I think we finished it last week.
okay, finish is wrong. It should be finished or finished with it.
But guess what? Your colleague absolutely understood that the project is done.
You got your point across.
And you maintained the conversational flow. You sounded confident because you didn't hesitate.
The professional but friendly aspect stays intact because you prioritize the interaction.
You can fix the verb next time, right?
Exactly. That leads us to the comforting phrase we promised. It's not the end of the world.
We need to remind ourselves of this constantly. Making a mistake in English, especially a grammar mistake, is not the end of the world. This phrase means the consequences are not catastrophic. It's not a huge disaster.
If you say, I go to the store yesterday, instead of, I went to the store yesterday, the world keeps turning.
Your message was clear. The listener is unlikely to judge you harshly for it.
They are much more likely to judge you if you stop the conversation flow completely out of fear.
We need to lower the stakes when we speak. That fear, that stress, it's the biggest block to sounding natural and friendly.
Let me share a quick story about this idea, a short cultural note on communication styles.
Please do, Leo. I was working with a Japanese client several years ago, and they were trying very hard to use extremely formal English.
That's common, trying to show respect through high formality.
Yes, they had memorized incredible vocabulary, like words I rarely use myself.
Wow, very accurate then.
Very accurate, but they started every email and every conversation with a phrase that was so complex, it took a full minute to deliver.
Did it slow things down?
Massively. And culturally, they thought the immense effort showed respect.
But what was the impact on your interaction?
The impact was that I, as the native English speaker, felt a distance.
The formality actually blocked the friendliness.
Precisely. I spent more time trying to interpret the formality than enjoying the conversation.
I had a similar experience in a cafe here.
A cafe is a perfect everyday example.
I was trying to order coffee, and the person in front of me was clearly a language learner, maybe B1 level.
Trying to navigate the complex world of coffee customization.
Yes, they wanted a specific kind of milk and temperature.
Lots of chances for grammar errors there.
The learner started by saying, I must request the server to dispense.
Oh dear, dispense sounds like a machine.
Exactly. It was extremely accurate vocabulary, but so robotic. It sounded stiff.
Did they get their coffee?
Eventually. But the barista, who is usually very friendly, looked confused and a little impatient.
That high level of accuracy failed to achieve the goal of natural, friendly communication.
The barista would have preferred, could I please have a latte, and I was wondering if it could be oat milk?
That uses our friendly and professional chunks. Could I please have? And I was wondering if.
The lesson is, aim for natural flow and simple clarity first. The massive vocabulary can come later.
Sounding professional is often just sounding clear and polite.
Let's move to tip number 4. This builds on the polite chunks. Master the art of softening.
Softening means using language to reduce the impact of what you're saying, especially when disagreeing, making a suggestion, or giving bad news.
You want to maintain that friendly professionalism. Instead of, you are wrong, which is direct and aggressive,
You soften it. I see your point, but I might suggest a slightly different approach.
the I see your point acknowledges their contribution. Friendly.
And I might suggest uses the modal might to make the suggestion tentative, professional, and polite.
Another great softener for work is starting a suggestion with a question. Like, have you considered the option of moving the deadline?
That's much softer than move the deadline. It invites collaboration, which is a very friendly management style.
Or if you have to ask someone to redo some work, instead of fix this,
Would it be possible for you to take another look at Section 3?
would it be possible is a fantastic professional chunk. It takes the pressure off. It makes the request feel cooperative.
Think of softening language like putting a pillow around a sharp object.
You are delivering the same message, but without the potential for discomfort.
It's the difference between saying, I need that document, and if you have a chance, I could really use that document.
The small additions make a huge difference in perception.
And for our A2, B2 learners, these small additions are often just extra words you need to memorize as part of the chunk. Don't analyze why, if you have a chance, works grammatically. Just know that it sounds good and polite.
Let's look at our third useful phrase for today. We've had get your point across, and it's not the end of the world.
Our third phrase is great for when things are difficult. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
That's a classic idiom.
It's a very natural way of saying, let's not worry about that problem right now.
It is excellent for sounding friendly and calm in a professional environment.
If a colleague worries about a distant future problem, like What if the client hates the entire project next month?
That's a hypothetical fear.
Let's focus on the presentation this week. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
That response shows professional focus.
And the idiom itself, while professional, has a warm, natural feel, which increases friendliness.
It stops unnecessary worry and directs focus back to the immediate task.
It's also a good phrase for reminding yourself that complex grammar problems can be dealt with later.
If you hit a grammar wall during conversation, you can just accept it, push through, and tell yourself, I'll cross that grammar bridge when I review my speaking later.
You postpone the worry.
That helps keep the flow going.
Let's quickly introduce tip number 5, which is really about connecting everything we've said.
Tip 5 is embrace natural fillers.
Fillers like, right? Well, let me see.
Many learners try to avoid these because they think it sounds unprofessional.
But in natural conversation, they are essential.
They give you time to think.
They are not mistakes. They are tools for fluency.
If you use a very short filler, like, well, or you are giving your brain 2 seconds to prepare the next chunk.
This stops you from having total silence.
Silence in conversation can feel awkward or even aggressive.
Fillers keep the conversation friendly and flowing.
And using a few fillers makes you sound incredibly natural, which is a major part of the friendly tone.
For example, instead of a silent, long pause before a meeting suggestion,
You say, well, I was wondering if we could, maybe push the meeting to Tuesday?
that is professional, friendly, and smooth.
The acts like a tiny safety net.
It helps you maintain eye contact and conversational continuity, while your brain searches for the right polite chunk.
So, to summarize our core philosophy here,
Focus on successful communication. That is fluency.
don't let the fear of imperfect grammar, accuracy, stop you from speaking.
Remember, making a small grammar error is not the end of the world.
We learned how to balance professionalism and friendliness by mastering softening language
Using those polite modal verbs, could, would, might.
and using fixed phrases or chunks which eliminate the need for real-time grammar creation.
Our practical tips for boosting that natural professional flow or
1. Massive listening to internalize the patterns of politeness.
2. Use chunks like, I was wondering if, or that sounds like a sensible approach.
3. The 3-second rule, forcing you to speak and prioritize flow.
4. Master the art of softening using phrases like I might suggest.
And 5. Embrace natural fillers to bridge thinking gaps and sound more natural.
And our key phrases to remember: get your point across, communication success,
It's not the end of the world. Lower the stakes.
and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Postponed worry.
Practice using these chunks every single day.
Try to use one softening phrase when you speak to someone today, whether at work or just asking for directions.
Keep listening to those native speakers and how they seamlessly blend professionalism and warmth.
You are already making huge progress just by understanding these differences.
Consistency is the key to building that speaking confidence.
Thank you so much for tuning into the English Blend today.
That was a great talk. Next time, we are going to dive into idioms about success and failure in the workplace.
Don't miss it.
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.